Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh, shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Only Football Podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking Aaron Rodgers' shocking conversation with Jets head coach Aaron Glenn. What happened in that meeting, or at least what happened according to Aaron Rodgers. We're going to be talking about, just for a few minutes, about Tyreek Hill. The GM, Chris Greer of the Dolphins, was talking about 2 first-round picks for Tyreek Hill, even though they're not looking to trade him right now, but you can't pass up 2 first-round draft picks. Then we're going to get into our NFL draft hot takes. Kyle and I are going to go take for take and see what you guys think about it. And, of course, we're going to end it off with the chives with Kyle. Oh, let's get it. America is football. Football is America.
Football is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass.
This is a moment in time. I'm giving it.
Oh
my God.
No.
You loved it.
It's 30 to 27.
No.
Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football Podcast. I'm Kyle, and that's Rick.
All right, let's go.
And we got some news today on the Pat McAfee show.
We did.
It wasn't Tuesday.
Twas not.
It was Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday.
I'll tell you, I actually just watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get in the zone for this. So
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers talking about his visit with the Jets organization. Aaron Rodgers was across the country, and the plan was Aaron Rodgers would sit down with the Jets, and the Jets would make a decision about the future of the organization, including who their quarterback was going to be. And the plan was that Aaron Rodgers would know whether that he was going to be able to stay with the Jets or if they were going to pivot.
Yeah.
All of this was unknown before Aaron Rodgers left.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers gets there, and from what he says, he's talking to the general manager. He goes into the room where they're going to have the meeting, and the head coach leaves.
Yeah.
And then the head coach comes back, and he's like, yeah, we're moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodgers is like, what? You just had me fly across the country to tell me that you're moving on? I mean, I've just been in this organization for 2 years. You just got here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't know you. And Rodgers is like, dude, I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that's why we're here. I thought that's what this was all about. Like, we were going to be normal and get to know each other. And, even if you were moving on, I've been in the NFL for 21 years. There's a lot that I know about this organization. And this is true for any job. If you got somebody coming in, I mean, you want to pick that person's brain. What are the trends? What are the issues? What are the flaws? Which players have leadership qualities? What do you think about, the biggest problem the organization has faced, what has kept them in the longest playoff drought in NFL, not NFL history, but currently in the NFL, it's the longest playoff drought. And the reason these are important questions is because the New York Jets are the current longest playoff drought team in the NFL. So it's not like it's an organization that's been doing pretty well and it's like, we got it. The Jets should be coming from a place where it's like, yeah, we'll take all the help we can get. Whatever you think doesn't even mean we're going to take the advice. But from Aaron Rodgers' point of view, he's like, well, if you knew you were moving on from me and you don't want any input, then why the hell did you have me fly here? He even told his pilot, like, go grab a beer. It's going to be a long day. And he was like, it was like 15 minutes and I was out of the building. And I'm like, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, all right, on one hand, I 100% understand why that's frustrating for Aaron Rodgers. And, he's probably got other things he's got going on, because when you're a person that thinks, you can spiral. And I'm a very sensitive person. And I do this all the time. I'm like, what did they mean by that?
Yeah.
And I think Rodgers could have easily spiraled into like, did they already like have preconceived notions about me before I even got there? Like, was there some kind of, I don't know, like it seemed like maybe they didn't like me before they met me type of a thing. Or, and this is where it's me talking, it's hard to tell people to their face that you're fired, we don't want you. Confrontation is difficult in every business, unless you're a heartless asshole. Like, confrontation is not an easy thing to do. It's like something no one looks forward to. It gives the people that have to do it anxiety. It gives the people that get it anxiety. It's just, confrontation sucks. And I say that to say sometimes it makes you awkward, right? Sometimes you're like, yeah, we think we're going to move on. And you're like kind of freaking out about it. And the next thing you know, you're yelling. You're just get the hell out of my office. And you're like, what am I doing? Why am I yelling right now? because it's awkward and weird. And, I got to think that had to have been part of it, maybe, because if the Jets were really just planning on moving on from Rodgers and it was going to be a 5-minute thing, why the flight? That's what I don't get. Why not the phone call? Like, and what they said was, well, we wanted to talk about how you wanted the press to release it. And Rodgers like, I don't give a shit. And that was an exact quote from him. He's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you, how the press releases it? It sounds like something you are worried about.
Yeah.
You're the one making the decision to move off of me. What am I supposed to tell the press? Like, it is
exactly.
Weird thing for them to say. At the end of the day, the Jets moved on. They should have just done it over the phone, period. There was absolutely no reason to make him fly across the country to tell him that we're moving on. They also added in the detail that, like, maybe we were going to negotiate financial things, but like that wasn't even a part of it. So I feel like Aaron Rodgers had a reason to be mad. None of this even came out. And I guess Aaron's sister was like, you should really like look at social media or something, because like they're saying a lot of stuff. So he's like, all right, I'll go on Pat McAfee on a Thursday. And I'll just tell my side of the story. And he even said, he was like, they always say like I'm craving attention. He was like, I haven't even talked to anybody in 3 months. It's not like I wanted these storylines to come out, but when all these other things come out, I feel like I want to just tell my side, which I would be like that too if I saw things that weren't true about me being posted.
And I feel like this was kind of like a well-known secret for the most part, and Nick saying here, you don't think the Jets would do that? That's just, and that's the Jets like that. I feel like that's been the Jets for the last few years. Seems like they would just do some dumb shit like this. And the thing is he's talking about Aaron Glenn, for the most part specifically here because of the way he acted. He kind of described it as a rogue, um, uh, unusually testy exchange is are the words he used because of kind of or not kind of, but what you said is like he's talking to the coach gets up, runs out, gets the GM, he brings him in, and he's like, by the way, I think you being a quarterback is kind of a distraction for like the rest of the players, because even he was like, I don't want to be at the front of the room and you're talking something else different in the back of the room. And Aaron was like, so you think I'd be a distraction or I'd be undermining what you're saying as a head coach to Aaron Glenn? So like part of me, like,
He said he'd play for 10 million too.
that, well, I'm sure he probably would. I mean, he's probably got more than enough money. I think he just wants to play at this point. I think it's pretty obvious from this story here that he still wants to play football. Now, the weird thing is though with Aaron Glenn, I know Aaron Glenn is kind of a I don't want to say hothead, but if you remember from clips of him a few years ago when Dan Campbell became the head coach of the Detroit Lions and he brought Aaron Glenn on as the defensive coordinator, there was like he gets into his role as a defensive coordinator. He loves when his defense makes a play on the offense, and that's on the same team during practice. This was during Hard Knocks when they were filming that portion of the and you saw those clips. So I don't know if like Aaron Glenn at the time already had his vision, and everyone, especially even in this meeting with Aaron Rodgers, knew that they were moving on from Aaron Rodgers and they didn't really necessarily want to go with him at quarterback. Like, I feel like maybe that's where the testiness and the rogue, I guess, feeling of the meeting kind of comes from with Aaron Glenn. What I just don't understand is like kind of what Aaron said is like, why couldn't you just told me this over the phone? If I'm flying out here on my own dime, like he says, you guys don't fly me out here. I am the one taking my own money and flying over here. Why don't you guys just email me this? Why don't you guys call me this? Call me for this? Why do you guys have to bring me over here and do a 15-minute meeting, if that's what you want to call it, really, at the end of the day, from what Aaron Rodgers is describing, and then just go through this whole fucking horse and pony show? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I don't understand. Now, but what I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around is like, why is Aaron Rodgers coming out with this now? Because if this is a guy who is pretty much has said himself, I don't really care about social media. Everybody was making fun of him about going into a hole for 4 days or whatever in the darkness. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about. Why is he coming out with it if he doesn't care? Because honestly, once they got Justin Fields, I thought this whole thing was over. And really the only thing that's left to talk about is whether Aaron Rodgers is going to play for the Steelers or is he going to take on a lesser backup quarterback role with another team? Because right now it's the Steelers who desperately need a starting quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers and them seem to be fitting perfectly. So my question is like, if he doesn't really care about any of the backlash of what's going on and maybe some rumors swirling around in social media, like you were saying, why does he care to talk about this now on Pat McAfee? Because it just seems to me like every time he's on Pat McAfee, it's another story and Aaron Rodgers' name continues to be relevant.
Well, I think two things. One, Aaron's been super vocal that he does care. He maybe has the persona of like, I'm above that shit, but when it really comes down to it, he cares.
He probably does care, yeah.
His documentary, I forget what it was called, Enigma, I think. He specifically talks about, I'm a sensitive person. I very and I can relate to that. Like, I also relate to the fact where like I will try to act like things don't bother me, but they do. But I don't want people to know that they do. And I don't know. I think also he said why he went on the Pat McAfee show, and he said it was because there were other stories like that were coming out that
Mhm,
weren't true. It wasn't just the Jets thing, but there was also like that he wanted it had to be a multi-year contract came out,
mhm,
that he needed 40 to $50 million was leaked. So I think he just was like, okay, I'm going to go on there for 45 minutes and I'm just going to be like, that's not true. That's not true. This is what happened. I'll play for
mhm,
10 million. I don't need a multi-year contract, and just like he doesn't have a PR person that does this stuff for him, which he also said. So he just kind of goes on. And if he wants to play football, which, like you said, it appears that he does,
mhm.
it would be behoove of him to go on Pat McAfee show and tell the world that you'll play for $10 million. It doesn't need to be a multi-year contract, and it doesn't need to
Mhm.
be 40 to 50. If you want to play football, yes, you do need to go clarify those things, because if you don't, this is the world we're living in. If the internet says something and the person that they're saying it about doesn't say that's not true, then it's true.
I guess I'm just and if you've been watching the Only Football podcast for the 3+ years that we've been doing this, I'm a skeptical person, and I don't think this should come to a surprise to anybody who has been watching. I'm skeptical about Aaron Rodgers saying that he doesn't care when it's pretty clear that he cares and he's trying to stay relevant, because I see this all the time, and I'm not going to say he's a celebrity in terms of A-list actors and things like that, but A-list actors, B-list actors, people in the industry in general need to stay relevant, and I think Rodgers is kind of doing the same by letting out these little spurts here, these little things there, right? Because even when he was on Pat McAfee, he said this, quote, "I'm open to anything and attached to nothing. Retirement could still be a possibility, but right now my focus has been and will continue to be on my personal life." And that's what I've told the coaches. There's still conversations that are being had. It's all been very honest lines of communication, end quote. That to me is a guy who is firmly sitting on the fence. And while he was talking about the story about the Jets, and he's like, yeah, the playing could be a real possibility, he then goes and says that, or he says that before, whichever order it happened in.
He
So
said the Jets thing first, and then he said his like close people in his circle have like major personal issues going on. It could be like a diagnosis. We don't know what it is. Whatever that thing is, I think he was just trying to keep the football door open while he stays on the fence.
and that's the thing. Like, again, I'm a skeptical person. I get it. Like, maybe Aaron Rodgers really is kind of saying these things and being honest about it, but like the word like the word puzzles that he says is just like, dude, it's kind of infuriating. Like, if you're a Jets fan or if you're a Steelers fan at this point, you're like, dude, can you fucking tell us, or can you fucking tell a team whether you're going to play or not? Like, why is it a possibility that you could retire or play? Like, you either want to play or you don't any longer want to play. Like, does it have to be the right situation? Are the Steelers not the right situation? If you do want to play and the Steelers aren't going to pick you up, are you going to take a lesser role as a backup quarterback? Or, for example, Cleveland, if they
He
bring
did
in,
say him and Mike Tomlin are on like the same. He said what I thought of Mike Tomlin before, and it was really high, is even more so after meeting him in person. And he
yeah,
was
but
like,
what does
he's
that
like,
mean in terms of playing or not? I
well,
guess
we
is my
don't know because
question.
we weren't in the room, but him and Mike Tomlin had a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and Mike Tomlin and him are on an understanding. And if I had to put the pieces together, it has to do with him being a Steeler and him
Mm-hmm.
not being ready to make that decision today. The other thing to keep in mind is that, as annoying as it might be, the
Mm-hmm.
Steelers quarterback situation right now isn't great.
It's
So
non-existent other than Mason Rudolph.
so that's the other thing where it's like just, does he want to? Does he not want to? Well, the quarterback is the one with all the leverage here. Like
Oh, well, in
Aaron
reference to the
Rodgers,
Steelers, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers. Let's say Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers and they go on it. Let's just for fun. All right. They go on a Super Bowl run and it's the John Elway end of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to like look back and be like, yeah, but he didn't make his decision until May. You know what I mean?
Well, sure. In this hypothetical, that works, but
right. And if it doesn't work,
yeah,
then you had Mason Rudolph anyway. So like,
yeah.
what is I just don't understand the big rush. I could see if they were like picking at number 1 overall and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
do we draft Cam Ward? We're not too high on Cam Ward, but if
Mm-hmm.
it's Mason Rudolph, then we would get Cam Ward. But with where they're drafting, I see it as a non-factor.
Yeah, and I when it comes to that, I could see that as well. But the other side, I guess, is what I'm looking at is I have a feeling the understanding is over Sanders and the draft. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, like along the lines with Nick, is like the draft, right? Like how you were saying, like, yeah, they're picking 21st or they're picking lower than that. I forget exactly where they're picking, 19th, 18th, whatever it is.
Pretty high because they were 10-2.
Yeah, they actually, they went to the playoffs, right? I mean, they got smoked, but they went to the playoffs. So
probably like 21, 22.
Yeah, something like. Are they higher than the Broncos?
We're 20.
Yeah, so because of record, maybe
we finished 10-7.
I think they
the Steelers finished 10-7 too.
Yeah, so if they're picking right around 20, 21, 22, if you're gonna go all out for a Shedeur Sanders, right? And you know that Aaron Rodgers has kind of either committed or not committed to your team to be a starting quarterback. I think that's kind of where the annoyance comes from. And I think Steelers fans, I can assume that Steelers fans are feeling a certain way. I wish Liam was here so he could kind of talk to us about that and see where his head at. But I guess that's kind of where the annoyance is to me. And also Aaron Rodgers was a Packer for a long time and dominated the Bears. So that annoyance just continues to grow. And I'm just being honest about it.
The same thing happened with Brett Favre. And it happens with every quarterback.
I feel like he decided a lot quicker.
Brett Favre didn't decide till June.
To play with who? The Jets or the Vikings?
His final year with the Packers,
mm-hmm.
He decided in June. And then with the Jets, it was I'm pretty sure it was like even later than now.
Well, I think with Favre, it was a little different because after his last season with the Packers, it felt, and I think, again, I don't know this for sure. I'd have to look back on it, but I'm pretty sure it was like, oh yeah, he's going to retire a Packer this is last season and we're going to move on to Aaron Rodgers. And then the whole June thing or the later on in the offseason thing, I think was him being like, no, I'm still good enough to play. So
he retired.
Yeah. Like he had retired and then he was like, no, I'm good to play. Like, I still want to play. Like, I feel like that's
dude, you guys forced me to make a decision in a week, and I couldn't say that I was ready to play football. So by default, I'm retiring from football.
Yeah, and they were already like, we're moving on Aaron Rodgers.
But no, he unretired, played as a Packer again, took him to the NFC Championship game.
I thought that was the Vikings.
No, dude, he was doing this for 5 years. So
he was doing this for a while.
He had this whole thing where he was done with football, unretired, played another season with Green Bay. I was at his last game as a Packer, NFC Championship game in 2005 or 4 against the Giants when they won the Super Bowl. 2007, I think. And
2007.
Then he was like going to do the same thing. And very similar to Aaron Rodgers, the Packers made a decision on their own this time. And they were like, we've decided to move on to Aaron Rodgers. And Brett Favre was like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Then fuck you. I'm going to the Jets. And he only played with the Jets so that he could be released and go to the Vikings. And he was decent with the Jets, but he lit it up with the Vikings. And that's what's weird is like, it seems like there's something wrong with the Jets organization. Because
And yeah, it has been for a while.
Because like Brett Favre, honestly, like arguably 2008 is one of his best years ever or 2009, one of his best years ever. I mean, he was like running around as a Viking. Like he looked like 10 years younger that season.
Yeah.
And he beat the Packers twice that year. It was like this craziness, but I will always go back to defending the players when it comes to this, because at the end of the day, like, I understand that their decision involves other people, and you got to be, you got to care about how your decision impacts other people. But I don't think you should care to the point where you're like hurting yourself. If you're not ready to commit to playing football, and it's not an Aaron Rodgers, it's any player. If any player, I don't care. And the quarterbacks always get the most shit for it because they're the most important position.
Absolutely.
But if we held other players to the same standard, then Calais Campbell and Julius Peppers and there's a laundry list. I mean, Aaron Donald did this. This is just part of being an older vet and being like, do I have another tour in me? Because it's like a deployment. It's like, all right, we're going to travel around the United States for 17 weeks. We're going to go through a car accident every single week, the recovery, the body prep, the family, everything that is involved in that decision, depending on what's going on in your personal life in that season. And you're supposed to be worried about the fans. Fuck the fans. You don't owe the fans anything. You don't owe me anything. If you're
I feel like it's been an ongoing thing with Rodgers, though. And again, I want to make
next year too. It will be until
and it probably will be. And I want to be clear to everybody watching. I'm a Bears fan. The annoyance goes beyond him being a Jet and talking about this shit, right? Like it goes for over a decade now of me not liking Aaron Rodgers as a player, of course. But I guess that's kind of where a little bit of the frustration and a little bit of the drama, where I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of sick of it. And you're right. At the end of the day, like Rodgers should be the one deciding whether he wants to or not. And those conversations, his decision should not be a deciding factor on how an organization wants to move forward to OTAs, to rookie mini camp, to preseason and into the season of 2025. Like, I know it shouldn't, but I just feel like in this situation, like, oh, I've had great talks with Tomlin. Oh, I'm always putting my personal life first. Oh, the Jets didn't want me to them, that I definitely do think there's a possibility of me playing. It's like, it's just the word puzzles, the word shit that he's saying is like, what do you want, man? Like, if you're just indecisive, I feel like you can just say, I'm indecisive at the moment in as many words, and instead of putting about your personal life and this and that. So I guess that's where that comes from.
Well, I feel like people aren't satisfied with that.
Exactly.
It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
100%.
There's no way to win. And honestly, he shouldn't really care about winning the people. It's irrelevant, how Dan feels, about you have not making, like the Steeler. It was like, you either know if you're a Steeler or you don't. And it's like,
who fucking said that? Calvin?
Cam Hayward?
Yeah. It was Hayward. Yeah.
It's like, not everybody was drafted as a Steeler, Yeah. Like, even if he was like, yeah, I'm a Steeler, it's like, you guys also have a motto that you're not even a Steeler until you beat the Ravens. So you haven't earned
your yellow stripes or your gold stripes, or
whatever. It's just like people. Yeah, it makes people mad. I tell them, then change the channel. I mean, if it's getting you fired up, like then focus on something else. I don't know.
Yeah, focus on the draft, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a lingering domino.
Mhm.
But it's not a major domino in the way that I feel like the top two teams that are taking quarterbacks are interested in Rodgers.
Mhm.
It's a side domino. And to be totally honest, like Rodgers could just wait and skip all of the OTAs and wait for a quarterback, which always happens, unfortunately, gets hurt, and join a contending team in October. I mean, this is the part of his career where he's at. He could do a Joe Flacco thing. No one's giving Joe Flacco shit. No one even cares if Joe Flacco retires or
Exactly.
doesn't come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this is a self-fulfilled prophecy with our annoyance with Rodgers based on how interested we are that he hasn't made a decision. It's like,
Well,
well, just let it go. I mean,
it's hard though when you like consume nothing but NFL. It's like, can this guy fucking make a decision already? You know what I mean? Like it was the whole thing with like leaving the Packers too. Like we're going on to Jordan Love, bro. Like just letting you know.
One day
That's
Caleb Williams will be doing it to you, and it'll be full
oh,
circle.
if he does, I'll be so mad. You know
He
the
said he
shitty
wants
thing?
to play for 20 years, so it'll happen.
Exactly, and hopefully we have a good enough fucking offensive line to where he can do that. Regardless, I like this. I like this comment by Edub. Aaron Rodgers has turned into a low key weenie. I love that. I love that.
Weenie Hut Jr.
Weenie Hut Jr.
No, we meant that place. Super Weenie Hut Jr. Are you saying?
I had a bowl of nails for breakfast. Okay, without any milk. Right this way, sir. Right this way.
Sorry for keep you waiting.
All right. So Aaron Rodgers starting hot with some Aaron Rodgers. There was an interesting 2-minute article about Tyreek Hill. And it seemed like a nothing story, but it also was a little bit kind of elevated by what Tyreek Hill was posting, because he posted a couple TikToks and a tweet about this, which is relevant today, unfortunately. But basically, what it was is Tyreek Hill isn't going to get traded, but the GM Chris Greer is saying, "Hey, we're not pursuing a trade, but if you want Tyreek Hill and a team is willing to give up 2 first-round draft picks for it, we're going to listen and we're going to talk about that." And Tyreek Hill had put up a tweet, kind of he retweeted a tweet that said, "Finns Nation, would you be open to trading Tyreek Hill?" And he retweeted that with like a smiley face emoji. He put a TikTok about when you find out your team is talking about trading you. And again, all this social media stuff is relevant in what to certain things, certain news. But I don't know. To me, this seems like a nothing burger. I don't think anybody is going to give up 2 first-round draft picks for Tyreek Hill, especially when he's like 31 years old. He's still fast as shit. He could still receive a bunch of yards. He almost did 2,000, but I highly doubt it. So I feel like this is a nothing story.
No, nobody's giving up 2 first-round picks, and Tyreek Hill's just like really got to grow the fuck up. I mean, he's like, whatever, you want to like use TikTok to like, I feel like he's bored. And it's like, I mean, come on, dude, you were the one that wanted to be traded. Now
That's what
you're
he
mad
said at the
that
end of
they're
the season.
talking about it? Like, what are you talking about?
Do you remember when he said that at the end of the year?
Yeah. And it's like, okay, you wanted to be traded. Okay, so you're wanting to know how the fans feel about. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
They're asking the fans. This is a Miami Dolphins channel
guy. Yeah.
They're asking the Dolphin fans how they would feel about what you said you were going to do. And you retweeted offended?
In a sense, yeah, it just was like a smiley face emoji, and it's like, what does that
it's like
mean?
I see that you got it's childish. It's not like you're 31 years old. Like, get it together, dude. If you want to be traded, then want to be traded. You know what I mean? And if you don't, then just be like, it was an emotional, like say that. Like this whole like, it's not just that the social media is the new thing that is unfortunate. The unfortunate is how it's used in this cryptic bullshit way where it's like he scrubbed all of his Seahawks stuff off of his Twitter. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Brandon Ayuk.
is it just a personal, and he's like, oh, it had nothing to do with the 49ers. It's actually just, I was trying to
I was tired.
it's like, okay, well, like, haven't we gotten to the point where we can clarify these things before we do it? Or do we like the attention? Like, I don't, it's like, this is exactly what you asked for. And now you don't like it. It's like, but at the end of the day, he's just bored. No one's given 2 first-round picks for Tyreek Hill. No one's giving 1 first-round pick for Tyreek Hill at his age.
Yeah,
and
not
all
right
this
now.
stuff is, if anything, making his value go down, because what team is sitting around going, man, I wish that he was on my team doing all this. Like when you were going after 2,000 yards in a season, like you became the highest wide receiver in the NFL. You came off that season and then got repaid the highest amount of money in the NFL.
And still wondering what your next paycheck was going to look like.
Exactly. And this league is always going to be, what have you done for me lately?
Yep.
Last year, CJ Stroud was the best thing the NFL's ever seen. This year, he's all right. Okay. But it's like, but we did see that what we saw his rookie year. So I don't know. We did the same thing with Brock Purdy. Like, should the 49ers pay Brock Purdy? Not like they pay other top 5 quarterbacks. Why not? What about his, the whole thing where he never lost a game until he broke his elbow in the NFC Championship game?
Yep.
And then took his team to the Super Bowl the next year and then played good in the Super Bowl, took the Chiefs to overtime. None of that matters anymore because the team was depleted with injuries. I mean, Jalen Hurts, they get all the way to the Super Bowl. Hurts throws 4 touchdown passes, has an incredible day. Then they lose, unfortunately, because of pass interference call. That's how it ends the game. And then Nick Sirianni's the only one that remains. Shane Steichen's gone. Jonathan Gannon's gone. They lose a bunch of players. Kelsey retires. The Eagles have a mediocre-ish season, get beat by the Bucs in the playoffs, and everybody on Twitter is like, there's nothing Hurts is doing that Wentz couldn't do. This was exactly why I didn't want Hurts. 1 year later, he's a Super Bowl
baby.
MVP. And it's like, well, yeah, he's a Super Bowl MVP. Did you not watch the Super Bowl 2 years ago? Like, what did you think? Like, you can have one bad year and the fans are just totally done. I mean, and it makes no sense because it's like, with young players, it makes no sense. But when you're doing things like this in your 30s, then you become like Amari Cooper, who can't find a home. Justin Simmons can't find a home. 31 years old.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, dude, you're 31 years old. Like, you're not coming off of a good year. You shouldn't be doing this stuff. You're like, I don't think you realize it. You're prolific, so you're not flirting with 1-year contracts. But the fact that there's even talk about 2 first-round picks, like, that is, you're not even in the ballpark of where you actually are right now in your career. You're at a pivotal fork in the road, and you're one more of last year's season away from being irrelevant in signing a 1-year prove-it deal. So I don't know why we're talking about 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Is like, it's not that he's past the prime. It's just like, there's gonna be much better guys out there in the draft, younger, who you can control for a lot cheaper. And to give up 2 first-round draft picks right now would be ridiculous. That's why I was like, okay, the GM is saying, hey, look, I cannot, as a GM, just, 2 first-round draft picks, fuck that. No, I'll be serious with you guys. I'll be honest. If somebody offered me 2 first-round draft picks for, Cheetah over here, I'll fucking definitely take a look at that. It all stems from what he said at the end of the season. He's like, I got to do right for I got to do what's right for me and my family, whether that's here or somewhere else. And now it's like he's making the social media posts, and the GM is talking about 2 first-round draft picks. So it just seems to be like kind of how you said. It's like, dude, fucking nut up or shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like either fucking do what you say you're gonna do or just don't. So
Well, all right. Our final segment today is going to be NFL draft hot takes.
let's go.
Hot takes, and I spoiled my first one on what was that? Tuesday? Yeah,
I
Tuesday.
think so. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
that Shedeur Sanders is going to be drafted to the Saints.
Yep.
I'm going to switch it. He's going to be
I
a
like it.
Raider.
Ooh, okay. So run me through that exactly.
Okay.
Because this is a good one. I like this.
The first thing is that you got to think Geno Smith is a guy that was drafted really high.
Mm-hmm.
Shedeur Sanders projected to be really high. Didn't work out. Then became a backup, a forgotten backup.
Yeah.
Third
Yeah.
string.
Yep.
And then has this crazy resurgence, wins comeback player of the year, reunites with Pete Carroll. He's, based on just life experiences, has become the most like well-rounded quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also old. And because of that, when was he drafted? Like 08? I mean, he's like
Let me look it up.
getting up there in age. So that there's no way that the Raiders actually 13.
Mm-hmm.
So
2013. So about
12
years ago.
So
Yeah.
he's like 34.
30 motherfucking. Damn, I don't have. 30s. 34. Yep, like you
34.
said. Yep.
So 34
Nice.
years old, probably got 2 years left. I mean, but he did throw like the 4th most passing yards last year.
And the way the NFL is, like, the quarterbacks could play. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is playing till he's 40. Tom Brady, a lot of these other guys can play well into their 30s, is what I'm saying. But
is that the? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think it's because I don't know if we've ever seen a black quarterback play into their 40s.
I'm trying to think. Warren Moon? No, I don't think Warren Moon.
Donovan McNabb would be like the longest tenured quarterback.
Yeah.
Because like it's easy, and these are my like I'm questioning my own subconscious reasons why I don't see Geno playing till his 40s. Because you're right, like it is today's NFL. It's very common for people to do that. But when I think of Geno, I would be shocked if at 41 he was still slinging it. But why?
Yeah.
He's running fast. He's elusive. He's throwing for a ton of yards. I don't know. It's a good question. I think a lot of it too is just he hasn't been like this guy his whole career. It's only been 2 years, and the sample size is really small. It's kind of similar to Sam Darnold in a way where it's like the sample size is small and we're still wondering, like, is Sam Darnold going to play till he's 40? Or is he going to like have, one of those things where like Matt Castle had a good year with the Patriots and then doesn't pan out with the Chiefs, and then no one knows where he went after that. I don't know if Geno Smith is like, he's definitely not, I don't know if anyone could consider him the future, but if he did play till he is 40, then he has 6 more years.
6 more seasons, yeah.
Plenty of time to, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's definitely not the group where you have like a Bo Nix, a Caleb Williams, a Jaden Daniels, a Joe Burrow, a Patrick Mahomes, where you're like, I got somebody, and we're talking decades. it's like there's a tier underneath it where it's like Broncos era with Manning. Like we have we have an era with a person, but we don't have eras with a person. And that is like the tier below. But everybody wants to be on this tier where you have your like next 15 to 20 years mapped out in front of you. And it's just not easy to get that. So some people have to settle for that other tier where Geno Smith, if he plays till he's 40, would be. But if he doesn't play till he's 40, then that's the bridge quarterback tier. And that's when you start drafting a quarterback. So I don't know what those conversations are like between Pete and Geno. Like, does he want to play that long? Is he interested in taking this mentorship role? It's interesting. I think with the change of head coach, usually that shifts towards drafting a new franchise quarterback in a rebrand. But with Geno Smith already having history with Pete, that complicates it too. I just don't know if the Raiders are on the clock and Shedeur Sanders is there, if their fan base would forgive him for not selecting him,
for passing him up. And to me, that's kind of, again, that's what the Bears have failed to do on several occasions, like bring in a new head coach, bring in a new quarterback, bring in a new everything. Like, don't continue to do this 1 year overlap shit. The Raiders, to me, I think are going to wait until next season. But I like that take because if they do select Shedeur Sanders at 6, kind of like you're saying, like if I'm a Raiders fan, I'm like, how are you passing up on this guy? Now, with Shedeur Sanders, this is kind of my take actually too. And it related to Shedeur Sanders is we know Cam Ward is going to go, or at least we know in quotes, that Cam Ward is going to go to the Titans.
It'd be shocking.
It'd be shocking if you didn't. That's like if the Bears selected.
Not as shocking.
Yeah, it'd be like if the Bears selected, I don't know, fucking JJ McCarthy last year with the first
No,
pick.
not that shocking.
It'd be fucking shocking.
It would be shocking, but that would be like the shock of all time.
It's like the Bears still can't get it right. But at number 2, you got Cleveland. Now, Cleveland is obviously also going through their own quarterback controversy. They overpaid Deshaun Watson, and it is clearly not paid off. My take with Cleveland is that they should not select Travis Hunter. They should actually pick up Shedeur Sanders. Because if you've got this guy, Deshaun Watson, every single year that you've had him on your roster has either been suspended the first year because he couldn't play because of obviously the misconduct that was going on, was hurt, underperforming, and has not lived up to his contract. Why aren't you going for a guy like Shedeur Sanders, who, from everything that scouts are saying, and you've told me because you've seen those Colorado games, like he looks like he can come into this league and actually be a good quarterback. He's flashy enough and confident enough to where it's not going to necessarily be a detriment to the locker room. He's still going to be a rookie, right? But his father's Deion Sanders. He's got the fucking charisma. He's got the name to bring fans, see more season ticket holders, maybe bring in more merch, things like that. Yeah, and obviously I'm not in the business of merch and stuff, but those are things that he comes with.
Brand after bringing in a guy like Deshaun.
Exactly.
It's a perfect storm.
Our GM made the mistake of a lifetime signing Deshaun and guaranteeing $230 million. Let's bring in Shedeur Sanders. And again, he's going to be a rookie. Is he going to have to prove that he can play his rookie year? Sure. But at least hey, we fucked up Baker Mayfield and we fucked up even worse with Deshaun Watson. Why don't we try to make the team better moving forward, knowing that we've got a pretty damn good receiver after last year in Jerry Jeudy? Let's bring in a quarterback who could bring in some positivity and can, again, a breath of fresh air into the franchise. So for me, that's what I'm thinking the Browns should do. is bring in Shedeur Sanders at number 2 and not even pay attention to bringing in an athlete like Travis Hunter, even though Travis Hunter is a fucking stud.
Yeah, and Shady's back. I mean, Flacco's back.
Flacco is back.
Flacco's back, and I don't know what that's about. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is like the final chance. It feels like, I had a electrician that was supposed to come out on Wednesday last week.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come out. He said Friday. So I was like, it was really important because I told my bosses it'd be done Wednesday. So Friday came and nobody was showing up. So I called at like 3 p.m. and I'm like, are you guys not coming today? And they're like, oh, yeah, a technician called out. I'm like, why don't you guys call me and tell me these things? Like, you guys charge like $3,000 for this.
They like to keep you on your toes.
And I'm like, all right. I was like, Monday, we're going to do this no matter what. He's like, we're waiting on one part. I'm like, do everything else. I can't just not have anything. And then they're like, okay, we'll whenever we get that shipment, we'll come do a second time. And I'm like, yeah, just be here Monday. Monday comes by. Nobody's there. And I'm like, what is going on? So I call and I'm like, I need to talk to whoever's above you.
Yeah.
And I called him and I'm like, if you guys don't come tomorrow, don't come at all. And I'm like, dude, I called you guys like 10 times. I write it down every time I call. And he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, we're going to be there. Didn't show up on Tuesday. And I should have kept my promise. But he was like, first thing, 7 a.m. when you guys open your doors, my guys will be waiting for you. I was like, all right, what's one, I've been waiting this whole time.
Right.
So I was like, okay. And they finally like showed up. I feel like this is where the Browns and Deshaun Watson are at, where it's like, we're going to give you one more season. All right. The first season, it was like you were suspended. Then the second year, it was like
excuse.
You were rusty because you hadn't played. And then the third season, it was like, all right, you were hurt again and not very good. But here we go. Like, this is the year.
Fourth year's the charm.
Surely you guys will be showing up at 7 a.m. this year. And there's no reason to believe that there's a switch. Deshaun Watson's been done playing football for 5 years. And this deal will be historically the only one worse than the Broncos deal. The best thing about the Broncos deal, and this is the difference between dysfunctional ownership and competent ownership, is that good ownership pivots from terrible mistakes. They do it fast. They take big swings, they take big misses, and they pivot quick. They don't force it to work. They don't go into the 5th year with a guy that hasn't done anything in 5 years. And that's, for what it's worth, Denver took the biggest cap hit in NFL history, and look where they're at now. They got the future ahead of them. They got their money back. They got a franchise quarterback. They got the world is their oyster, and everyone laughed at them when they decided to eat 100 and whatever million dead cap. It sounded ridiculous. Who eats
100%.
$130 million?
Yep.
Like, you're paying that much, and you don't want to have him in your locker room? Like, it's like, God, you paid so much. It's like when you spend a lot of money on something and you're like, I can't take this to Goodwill because I spent too much on it. It's like, dude, do you want it? Are you ever going to wear it? No? Then what's the point? Just because you spent a lot of money on it, you got to keep it around. And that's the Cleveland mentality right now with Deshaun Watson. I'm with you 100%. They should, and I said this months ago. I was like, we're hearing all these teams and Shedeur Sanders. Why aren't we hearing anything about Cleveland?
That's what I'm saying.
Are they a team that needs a quarterback? Absolutely. Do they have certainty with Deshaun Watson? Not even close. Do they have certainty with Flacco? Come on. What are we doing? Like, we 100% need a quarterback. I don't know why no one's talking about it. It's fascinating. I did see a mock the other day with the Sanders going to the Browns, and I out loud said, finally.
Yeah, and I think the only pushback I feel like in this case is the kind of what you're saying, right? The Browns don't have a quarterback, and it's very, very clear. If you're bringing in a guy like Travis Hunter, then the idea is that the Browns are going to suck this coming season and be in perfect position to get another quarterback. Again, we've talked about the Giants, right? Like, why aren't the Giants getting a quarterback either? It's like, I think in my mind is they're going to go for Arch Manning next season. They're going to go for Drew Aller. They're going to go for I'm forgetting some of the other quarterbacks that are going to be available next year, but they're going to probably go for a much bigger quarterback draft class. I think that's why the Cleveland Browns are like slated to get Travis Hunter, but also I'm like, why? Like, why not just go for Shador? Why
It's like
not?
putting new rims on a 1999 Camry.
And I guess that's the reason is like, we can't fucking, shine up a piece of shit 96 Honda Civic and call it a Mercedes. You know what I mean? So
That's
I guess
my
that's
job.
the reason.
Everything I do is dressing up a pig. They're like, can you fix the problem from the root? No, but I can grout over it.
Make this pig pretty.
And that's what Cleveland's going to have to do.
Oh, do you got one more, or is that the hot take?
I didn't know. Do you have one more?
I got one more, and it's about the Bears. And
okay,
it's about the Bears, and I'll make it quick because we do got to get out of here soon. Thank you to everybody who's watching, by the way. We appreciate it. The Bears are picking at 10.
It's about the Bears?
Yeah, I said that.
Ooh, sorry, I missed it.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so it's about the Bears. The Bears are picking at 10. Now, a lot of the talk between NFL talking heads, the media, such and such, GMs and whatever is between pick 10 and pick like 50, 60, whatever. There is a lot of talent there. There is a lot of talent that is going, like, it's starting talent. Second rounders. And if you've been watching this podcast, Colin, I think second rounders are immediate starters, if not immediate difference makers on a team when you draft them. The Bears are at 10, and there's a lot of things going around. Genty, or they're going to go defense, edge, defensive tackle, whatever. My hot take, and I kind of don't like what I'm about to say, but I think it makes sense, is if given the opportunity, the Bears should trade back for a haul of draft picks.
Running back, Genty.
No, and that's the thing. Everyone's saying it's Genty to the Bears. The Raiders are going to go a different route, whether it is offensive tackle, whatever the case may be. The Bears want a running back. Get Omari and Hampton. Get Travion Howard, I believe, from Ohio State. Get the guy from Iowa State that I really like, Caleb Johnson. Get one of, like, this is a running back heavy draft. Obviously, you're not going to get Genty, right? Because it's going to be the Raiders or whatever. And yeah, he might fall to 10. But if you can get more draft capital, if you can get the team that you're trading with first and their second, obviously you're going to move back and get their second. That's 3 picks in the second round. You can get a running back, you can get a defensive lineman, and you can get an offensive lineman in that second round alone, on top of the first round draft.
I'm with you. I say every mock draft I do this. I'm like, I don't know why more teams don't. I think it's just like one of those things where people feel that first round draft picks are more of a home run. And
yeah, I can see that.
Kind of true in the top 10, but it becomes less and less true as the first round goes off. I mean, remember, we moved up for Paxton Lynch, who this is a first round draft pick. So, the draft is a total gamble. So I say, why not get 3 second round draft picks? If we're gambling, let's at least make our odds better and get more people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Unless you're drafting a Genti or somebody that's like, hey, if we're wrong about this, whatever. Like, there's no way anybody could have predicted this. There's
Yeah.
no signs of, flaws or the perfect prospect, unless you're picking one of those. Like, if you got, the edge out of Penn State, like, that's not the same as a second round pick. But I'm with you on that strategy. The Bears don't need anything like at that position. Like, unless you're going for a quarterback or a Marvin Harrison Jr. type of guy that's like not going to be there, or a Genti.
Yeah.
Right. If the Bears are out on receivers, don't need a quarterback, and if they don't want to get Genti because it's a loaded running back class, then yeah, move back. Why not?
Exactly. And the only thing I could see that would really hinder them or prevent them from going back is like Genti just dangling there at 10 and being like, come on, get Genti. You know what I mean? And I'd just be like,
and Rick,
we don't need Genti.
If the Bears moved back and got 3 second-round draft picks, right?
Oh, ridiculous.
Then what people probably don't realize is that would be a product of the Carolina trade.
Yeah.
Because Carolina, the trade with DJ Moore and all of that, that was the reason the Bears drafted Caleb Williams last year. And because of that, they don't need a quarterback. And when you don't need a quarterback and you have the kind of talent the Bears have, you really don't need to be in the top 10. You don't. It's like we're not even supposed to really be here. Our team, if you look at our roster, it doesn't match the other teams that are up here. So there's two ways to look at it, where it's like, well, let's capitalize on the fact that we're here and take a top 10 guy and get the hell out of here. Or let's move back and turn this into 3 second-round picks. Thanks, Carolina. We're still reaping the benefits. And this is Genti or move for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same. Like, if they get Genti, obviously I'll be excited.
Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Tyler Warren.
He's
like, I'd still be excited.
Like a Brock Bowers.
Yeah, him and Loveland too are supposed to be like the top 2 tight ends. Like,
does
Caleb
they're supposed have to be top. A security blanket like that? Because
Cole Kmet.
Is he like a Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, or is he just like a really good tight end? We're talking like legendary Hall of Fame talent upside. And there's like, we don't need a tight end, and it's a great place to be because that's where we're at right now, because we brought in Evan Ingram. It was like a huge need, and now it's like, well, now we have flexibility. If Tyler Warren falls, we'll take him, but we're not moving up for anybody. So
exactly,
the Bears are kind of in this situation too, but Tyler Warren is not just like any guy. And if he falls to the Bears and you got an opportunity to give Caleb something that not many quarterbacks get, I think I would be, if I was a Bears fan, and you got, Detroit's OC, you're coming from a guy that had Sam Laporta, and before that it was TJ Hawkinson. All this guy knows is elite tight ends. So I think he might value that position more than a regular coach.
2 tight end sets with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. That to me sounds amazing. And Nick, I know you said the problem is who's moving up in this class. I would keep my eye on Kansas City or Denver. To me, Kansas City is well, because they just lost Joe Thuney. They've got a year left of Trey Smith. Kelsey's getting older. Tyler Warren, Loveland, right? That may come into play. And Kansas City, to kind of stay where they're at in terms of AFC Championship game or Super Bowl every single year, they've got to get the bluest of the blue chip guys. I think, in my opinion, just moving forward. I mean, they definitely got not necessarily a steal, but Xavier Worthy did turn out to be a lot better than a lot of people expected. A lot of people were like, oh, he's fast. Cool. He turned out to be a lot better than expected. He balled out in the Super Bowl. So I would keep my eye in Kansas City. Kyle's saying Denver.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say this comment with Ginger right here.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton has said this on almost every draft interview. He says it was actually on the Colin Cowherd podcast when he took a year off from coaching, and he asked him, "What are you looking for when you draft somebody?" And he was like, "So first off, like we got all the positions. We have the prototype,
Mm-hmm.
height, weight, hand size, all of that stuff, the measurables. All right. Then you have the stuff that you can't measure, and then you have these other guys that are people that play really good, but they don't meet the size requirements. They're not the prototype. Like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Shador Sanders is his hands are smaller, whatever. The
Yeah.
prototype is this, and they're this, right?
Yeah.
So Sean always comes back. Are we in love with them?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're in love with them, that doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
For the Broncos and Sean, and this is why I say the Broncos, is because we've seen Sean move up plenty of times in the draft.
Yep.
He moves up, and it's been for offensive players. He's done it for defensive players. And we also learned a lot last year by how Sean felt about Bo Nix. Dude, I just watched this man for a whole year. His first season in Denver,
Mm-hmm.
I just thought this is who the guy was. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is just who he is. I didn't know he was miserable until I saw him after drafting Bo Nix. And I was like, who's this guy? Like, this guy's happy. Like, this guy
Yeah.
was like had butterflies, dude. He was like, oh, you know how you can just feel someone's passion when he was talking about drafting Bo. He was just like, he had stat after stat after stat after stat,
Yep.
and then we emptied his backpack. And dude, he had no vices in there.
That's so
No
funny.
vices. He was the most excited guy in the room.
That's
Nobody
so
was
funny.
like as excited as him, but it was like awesome because I'm like, that's all I needed to see. I was thinking Bo could have been a reach, but I'm seeing this and I'm like, whatever, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Sean knows more than I do, and he studied
Mhm.
Bo way more than I did, apparently.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's roll with it. And he was right, and everyone was wrong, period.
Mhm.
And because of that, I've learned that they have their own internal process, and it doesn't look like the stuff that we see out here. And each team should have that. So the players that Sean's in love with, I can only guess who they are. Luther
Yeah.
Burden is the guy I think the Broncos are going after. When I look at Luther Burden out of Missouri, this is a guy that can line up in the backfield, the slot, a wideout. He can do like 50-50 ball stuff. He's also wildly elusive. He is like a Swiss Army knife. So whatever Sean wants to do, he can do it. Very high IQ. And you can tell that because of how much he lines up. Like, to be able to line up all over the field, you got to be smart because you got to have
Mhm.
all these different responsibilities and tasks. So I think Luther Burden is a person that is going to be drafted way higher than people are projecting. And I think if Denver does move up a couple spots to get him, people are going to be like, was a reach? But I think Sean knows that the mocks are wrong. Remember, every time you and
Yeah.
I say that it's a reach, we're just like going off of Mel Kiper, you know?
Yeah,
Or
we're
like,
going off shit that we're hearing from other
that
people.
wasn't on the board.
Yeah, Sean Payton was the Denver Broncos were criticized for taking Bo Nix as a reach. And look how well he did. So I think especially for the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton and that entire brain trust there, I think the heat's off. Like if they do move up for a Luther, what was his name? Luther Burden. Then it's kind of like, all right, this is turning into Bill Belichick scouting some dude in a fucking Division IV college and being like, what the fuck does Sean Payton know that the rest of the NFL is just not paying attention to? And I say that in like as a good thing too,
And Luther Burden was like the clear-cut number one receiver coming into the draft until the draft started. And then they're like, actually, it's the guy out of Arizona State. It's like,
Yeah.
and then who said that?
Yeah.
Who said that? It's T-Mac, but who said that?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're all going to say it. Like, what? What just happened? Everybody changed their mind at the same time? Like, that's kind of odd. And you can't help, but now I'm doing it. I'm like, yeah, the number one receiver that's supposed to go is T-Mac. Now I'm repeating it. It's like, we don't know what those boards look like. For all we know, there's 16 teams that have wide receiver number one Luther Burden, and we don't get to see any of it. So
Yeah.
it's like, even when somebody moves up, there's phone calls. Denver calls the Raiders. Oh, are you drafting a quarterback? No. What about the team picking behind you? We called them. They're drafting Luther. They are?
Yep.
Boop. Moving up. Denver reached. Well, we don't really know that Sean just found out that Burden was going to be drafted to the team, before him. So, like,
Yep.
it's chaos and it's awesome. And that's why I love the draft. But I could see Denver moving up. If Genty falls past 11, which is very possible, Denver will move up and grab him. If it's not Genty, I think it's possible it could be someone else. Most likely, they'll stay right where they're at. But if Denver did move up, no, it wouldn't shock me at all. I'm just so pumped up because we're in that position like the Bears where there's not one position. Everybody's saying running back, but like, you can get a running back in the second and the third. So the first round is what I'm saying. It's a total toss up. It's anyone's guess. It's kind of boring. Like last year, you knew you were getting Caleb. It was like there was no like. I know you kept saying until the commissioner comes out on that, but like you still 99.99999999999. Like there was no doubt about it. But it's the right thing to do is to keep that little part of yourself.
Exactly. You got to keep that skepticism.
Way different for both of us.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, those were our hot takes. Kyle, you can't see me, but I'm doing the chat thing.
Oh,
Kyle, I think it's time for the motherfucking.
For the motherfucking. Welcome to the Chives with Kyle. All right. For my chives today, I'm going to be giving you guys players that are going to be coming into the draft, high-profile players. I'm giving you their NFL player comps as written by PFT. That's with Chris Sims. And we're going to start with Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina.
Yep.
His comp, DeMarco Murray.
Oh,
with the Cowboys from 2011 to 2017. Just like Murray coming out of high school, Hampton, physical, pro ready, a catcher, a runner, jumped an absurd 130 inches in the broad, 96 percentile, a sub 4.5 wheels on a dense frame. Omarion Hampton's going to be the second running back taken in the draft. It's funny because I was like wanting him, but he was known for breaking tackles, and Javonte Williams was known for breaking tackles, and Javonte Williams went to North Carolina. Omarion Hampton goes to North Carolina. So I'm like, it's too close.
Yeah.
I need something new,
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Then we got T-Mac out of Arizona. His comp, this is hilarious. Cortland Sutton. I literally said this because they kept projecting him to go to Denver. And I'm like, we have Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Why do we need him? Like, Sutton wasn't overly fast or explosive as a prospect, but he was excellent at tracking the ball, positioning himself, and winning at the catch point. McMillan shows flashes of mastering that, and both are better route runners than they get credit for. Travis Hunter.
Yep.
This is interesting, right? Who are they going to comp him to? A wide receiver, a DB, Chad, I'm going to say it the right way, Ocho Cinco.
Wow.
Lofty comparisons are dangerous, and this falls into that bucket when you bring up a receiver that had 7 seasons topping 1,000 yards in the NFL. Hasn't Mike Evans had like 10?
Yeah.
So Evans is.
I think this was his 11th or his 10th.
But if you asked who's better, Mike Evans or Chad Johnson, like No one would say Mike Evans.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Ocho Cinco there.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
All right. Luther Burden,
Ooh, there you go.
Missouri.
Your boy.
His comp, Brandon Ayuk, which is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk has a bigger catch radius than Burden, but they both stand 6 feet tall, weigh about 205, with dangerous movement skills before and after the catch. Burden's 2023 tape resembled Ayuk more than 2024, but that player is still in there somewhere. Yes, he is. He's going to be a fucking beast in the NFL. And even if Denver doesn't get him, like whoever does, they're going to just have themselves a Pro Bowler, seriously.
Yeah.
Tyler Warren. This is a lofty one. Jeremy Shockey.
Oh, interesting.
I know what you're thinking, and the answer is no. It's not just the hair. Coming out of Miami, Shockey was 6'4" and 3/4, 255 pounds. A tight end who could win the ball in the air and run right through you after the catch. Warren checked in at the combine at 6'5.5". So taller than Shockey, 256 pounds, so 1 more pound. And we've seen the same skill set on tape last season. The presence Shockey had coming off the line of scrimmage, not only as a blocker, but as a middle of the field target, working the seam, is how Warren will upgrade an NFL offense. Yeah, dude, he's going to go hard. Last one I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
Abdul Carter.
Yes.
Penn State. Comp, Brian Burns.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's never easy to find a comparison for a player as highly regarded as Carter, but him and Burns win in a very similar way as 250-pound edge rushers. They both possess excellent explosiveness off the ball to win around tackles with the speed rush. Each can hit blockers with nasty spin moves, and they have tremendous closing speed to finish plays. Carter has a good chance to outplay this comp, but it paints the picture of the unique athleticism he has up front. Burns ran a 96 percentile 40-yard dash, posted a 96 percentile broad jump, and had an 83rd percentile 3-cone in 2019.
Love that. Love that. Brian Burns still, I think, just in his 4th or 5th year in the league after the 2024 season. So pretty good comp for Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter, other than like some injuries that he's going through, I feel like is going to be a fucking beast in the league. But all right, those were the chives with Kyle. Sorry again that you guys are seeing my disappointed face and not my actual face right now, which is still kind of disappointed.
Now you got 2 of them.
Now you got 2 of them, baby.
I kind of like how they move when we talk. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Burt Burger interview.
Yep, remember that?
That was so weird.
I just don't want you guys to just see a pixelated version of my face right now because it's my internet's fucky right now. It
looks like your eyeballs now that there's 2 of them.
Oh, I could see that.
I
could see that. I could see that. I like that.
That's
like
cool.
That. We're gonna do an entire live stream just like this. No, probably not. That'd be terrible.
I'm gonna make you a pirate.
Kyle's trying to grab my booty. All right. So thank you guys to everyone who was here. We appreciate it. Everybody who was here. We had Ginger, we had Nick, we had Edub in the chat. So we really appreciate all you guys that were here. Please hit that like button before you get out of here. And if you just got here, go back to our hot takes on the NFL draft. Go rewind back to the Aaron Rodgers talk. If you want to see all of that and you just got here. But thanks again to everybody who was here. Again, hit that like button before you get out of here. Hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it here on YouTube, on Twitch, and on X. Go follow us at NFL with Kyle and at Only Football Pod. We appreciate everyone who was here. And Kyle, always a good time, brother.
Always a good time.
Long live Boo!